India is still a very young country in terms of our population, whereby we still have, even by 2020, you would still have a large proportion of India's population in the most productive age group, that is 15 to 59. But what would happen is that the proportion of the elderly will slowly start climbing to 8% to 10% to, by 2025 it would be somewhere closer to about 15% or more. But we are talking about 15% as of, say 1.6 billion people. The second issue in the country is that about 77% of India's elderly and people are either poor or vulnerable. In other words, because 95% of India's population, labor force, is in unorganized sector. Okay, so most of the elderly become, when they reach above 60, they are going to be elderly without any pension and health cover. Now, in a situation whereby the families are poor and vulnerable, their ability to care for the elderly is also going to become a serious problem. Simultaneously, as the healthcare is becoming increasingly privatized, okay, healthcare will become unaffordable. It takes only one illness to get them below the poverty line, and they don't have a luxury of retirement. Okay? And at the same time, they don't have the kind of social protection that would take care of them actually. This is the second problem. And in the context of privatization of healthcare and the cost of living, that would make the life of elderly people, poor elderly people, far more difficult. We have elderly pension, but it is 300 rupees per month. Okay. Now what happens is that, and it is not available to all needy elderly. It's available to some people. What is happening in the country is that we don't have trained people to be able to take care of the elderly. The family itself may not be able to provide the care that needed to be provided because it needs special skills. And this is where you need to create a special cadre of people who are caregivers for the elderly people with various problems.
India brought out the National Policy for Older Persons in the late 1990s. Today, this policy is under review. Both policies emphasize that the lives of elderly persons in the country require a positive direction. The second policy also draws upon the Madrid International Plan of Action for Aging, which was evolved in 2002 at the Second Assembly on Aging held in Madrid. This plan of action emphasizes that advancing health and well-being for older persons and providing an enabling and supportive environment for older persons is critical for their quality of life. Hence, developmental interventions becomes the operational aspect of actually advancing health and well-being and of providing an enabling and a supportive environment. One of these activities which can definitely be thought about is art-based activities. As we all know, many of us do not indulge in anything to do with art after our school days. However, art is an excellent way for any individual to express themselves without speaking. When an organization or an institution decides to develop interventions for the elderly to enhance their mental and social and psychological well-being, they need to give complete thought to the context from which that individual comes. Developmental interventions which may be suitable for a middle class urban individual may be completely unsuitable and inappropriate for individuals from a rural background. Researchers have found that individuals may adopt different patterns in the aging process. One such pattern has been referred to as the discontinuity theory, and this says that as individuals age, they prefer to withdraw from their usual social and familial obligations and preoccupations, and they become more absorbed with themselves. There is a theory which talks about continuity, and it says that individuals do not become disengaged or active just because they come into senior citizenship, but in fact they would continue the pattern that they had been engaged in all their life. Understanding of these theories helps us to devise developmental interventions of different sorts.
So Family Welfare Agency is an NGO based in the community at Delhi Road, and we've been working with the senior citizens from 1979, though the organization was established in 1950, and it has worked with individual cases on and off. But as a community, with the experiences that we got while working with the youth and the women in the community, we also thought that there are a lot of needs of the elderly which need to be addressed by an NGO. And that is how the whole concept of daycare services were initiated by the Family Welfare Agency. Besides that, we are also looking at participating as a voluntary group. So in terms of their skills and talents, so whether it is as a music group, when you go out and perform in another setting, it gives them a kind of a sense of achievement. It gives them an opportunity to meet other people outside. Plus, in terms of complex issues are there in front of their lives, like elder abuse, neglect. Now, the organization is trying to work on that at different levels. And one of the efforts that has been made is, as a development intervention, is that besides creating the community awareness with regard to this issue, it is the seniors who have themselves come forward and participated into elder abuse and developed a street play, which they are able to go out and perform. So whether it is government schemes, whether it is the rights, the legal rights, whether it is in terms of going out into society and like for example when they go out in the hospital and they have to get their case paper, and if they are aware that they have a separate queue for them, then they are able to assert that right and make use of it. See, a lot of programs and interventions devolve a lot of skill building, in terms of conflict management, in terms of communication skills. Now all these on their individual level as their family life also, they are able to use that. They are able to communicate better with their family members. They are able to emphasize on what are the needs that they have. They are also able to come to terms with what are the situation of the elder family members in front of them and dialogue with them. Basically, because very often we are finding a kind of increased isolation among the elderly due to a lack of mobility, and to be able to reach out to that level of senior citizens who are isolated from coming and participating at a particular venue, but to be able to reach out to them, and that kind of an intervention is going to be crucial, because that is going to be able to connect the mobile elderly with the immobile elderly. And I think as an organization we look forward to that kind of accessibility, not only by the organization to the senior citizens, but also by the senior citizens to the senior citizens. And that, I think, will make a big difference in the overall quality of life.
Okay, when FWA, Family Welfare Agency, actually started, when we developed the concept of senior citizens and mental health, then the vision was to say that we could develop integrated multimodal approach whereby we could address the needs of the senior citizens. Now with senior citizens being basically more of a problem than it was a couple of years ago, we decided that we will incorporate the mental health component also, and so now we see not just senior citizens quote their needs, but also the mental health development of their faculties. And so we need to now look at the cognitive developments. We need to look into issues of dementia, Alzheimer's and things like that, so that we can help our senior citizens to live a better quality of life. Courtesy to, we do have a senior citizen program in Tata Institute. So courtesy to that, we have had students who have been doing the ABT program with our senior citizens, and they are really actually appreciating the need to be creative, the need to let go of yourself, the need to, at least as far as possible within a structural capacity, break through certain norms which were self-imposed or created by family.
This entire concept of a service organization for senior citizens simply arose from a magazine concept. About 3 to 4 months of publishing the magazine, there was a huge response from senior citizens themselves, who felt very, very happy that someone was addressing and even investing all their monies in a publication exclusively designed for them. They came back and said, oh, it's fine for you to publish a magazine and all that, but what about my loneliness? Will you come? You are an editor. Will you come and sit with me? Will you chat with me? I'm very lonely. So I said, fine, of course I will. I am a social worker by training. I said, yes, of course I will come. So I started visiting senior citizens who used to call us and say, the magazine is very good and all that, but I'm very lonely. So we set up, using all my social work background and education and training, I set up the first service. Or an intervention, as you say, a developmental intervention of providing companionship. So who will provide the companionship? There were members who were subscribers of my magazine. Appealed to them, would you act as volunteer members to go and call on people who are lonely? And there was a thumping response. Nearly 128 people signed up. All this way back 17 years ago in 1995. Of course, the lion's share of what needs to be done for the elderly in India rests solely with the government, because of the fact that out of 97 million senior citizens in India today, 67 millions are living below the poverty level and just above the poverty level. In an essence, only 30 million people are okay, middle class, who are able to fend for themselves only in terms of their own shelter and food. Even the 30 million need a lot of psychosocial support, cultural support, recreational support. So what is this entire developmental intervention is about? Providing very crucial structural supports that are not available in society anymore. When the joint family became not a very dominant mode in which families are formed today. We run what is called as chai masti centers. We have about 8 or 9 of them in the city, and they are very, very popular. Every day people come over there, they get together, programs are scheduled for them, organized for them trained professionals come and give these programs. So it's not altogether just masti, but there is also a lot of learning. Actually, the recreational needs of senior citizens cannot be underemphasized, saying it is only chai, masti and all that. Recreation is very, very important, especially when recreation is integrated with very purposeful movement of the body, like Tai Chi, for example. Tai Chi is such a graceful way of exercising the body, very conducive to the body that the elderly people have. There is so much that a student can look forward to in undertaking activities which will be meaningful, purposeful for senior citizens. And you need to be very resourceful in terms of identifying which resource people would be very useful and meaningful to be brought to the senior citizen centers.
मैं कम से कम 4 साल हो गया इधर आके। यहाँ से मुझे बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला, बहुत कुछ अनुभव करने को मिला और मेरे जीवन में बदलाव आ गया।
पण इथे आल्यापासून माझ्या म्हणजे बरंच अनुभव आला। गायनाचा म्हणा, भजनाचा म्हणा, कुठे कुठे भजनं होतात, तिथे ट्रॉफी पण मिळालीत आम्हाला मोठ्या मोठ्या। आणि दुसरं म्हणजे इथे आल्यावर सगळं विसरायला होतं, सर्व विसरायला होतं, जणू हे आमचं घरच झाले।
मी सरकारी नोकरीमधून निवृत्त झाल्यावर या ठिकाणी आले, गेल्या वर्षी झाली इथे। मला इथे वेगळा अनुभव आला की थोडंसं अशिक्षित लोक इथे होते, पण आम्हाला असं वाटलं की आम्ही सुशिक्षित लोकसुद्धा इथे येऊन त्यांच्यामध्ये सहभागी व्हायला आम्हाला खूप आनंद। आणि सगळे ज्येष्ठ नागरिक इथे असल्यामुळे थोडंसं आम्हाला वाटलं की आता आपण पण ज्येष्ठ नागरिक होणार आहोत, तर आपला पण वेळ इथे द्यावा म्हणून आम्ही इथे आलो। पण इथे पाहिलं तर अनेक ॲक्टिव्हिटीज इथे चालू आहेत। काहींना म्हणजे थोडंसं घरच्या प्रॉब्लेममुळे मानसिक ताण येत होता, तर इथे आल्यानंतर त्यांना विसरण्यासाठी अनेक कार्यक्रम ह्या लोकांनी इथे घेतले। त्याच्यामुळे आम्हाला खूप म्हणजे बरं वाटलं की सतत इथे यावं आणि ह्यांच्यामध्ये मिक्सअप व्हावं।